This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Beckman and I'm a registered dietitian with the New York State Office for the Aging and SnapEd New York. Thanks for joining me today on What's Cooking with NYSOFA. Today I'm going to be making a brown rice pilaf with sage, walnuts, and dried fruit. We'll be posting the link to the recipe below, and the recipe can also be found on the SnapEd New York website at www.snapedny.org. This recipe makes 8 servings, and each serving is 212 calories with 4 grams of fiber and 6 grams of protein. This recipe is also low in sodium and fat. Before I start cooking, let's look at MyPlate. This recipe covers the grains section on the MyPlate graphic. This side dish contains brown rice, which is a whole grain. You want to make half of your grains whole grains every day. Whole grains are a great source of fiber and vitamins and minerals. Whole grains have more fiber, vitamins, and minerals than their white counterparts because white grains have been processed to remove the bran on the outside of the grain where the fiber is and the germ of the grain where all of the vitamins and minerals are located. Whole grains are a great source of B vitamins, vitamin E, and healthy fats. White grains are lacking in all of those benefits. Remember that everything you eat and drink over time matters. Make every bite count by finding your healthy eating style and maintaining it for a lifetime. The right mix can help you be healthier now and in the future. Now, before we get into this recipe, last month I made salmon cakes. If you didn't get a chance to see that video, you can view it on the New York State Office for the Aging Facebook page or the New York State Office for the Aging YouTube channel. If you visit our YouTube channel, make sure that you like and subscribe. If you click on the notification bell, you'll get a notification every time a new video is posted. So don't miss out on new content and click that bell icon. So let's get into making this brown rice pilaf with sage, walnuts, and dried fruit. Remember to wash your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer before you start cooking. Now let's look at the ingredients for this recipe. Now I've cut the ingredients in half for this recipe, so that's what you'll see here, but I'm going to tell you what the recipe calls for. So you can use either a cooking spray or about a half a teaspoon of vegetable oil like canola oil to put in the pan. And that's what I am going to use here. But here is 1 medium onion chopped, and we have a stalk of celery chopped. I have 2 cups of brown rice, and this is quick cooking rice because that's what I had in my pantry. But you can use regular brown rice instead. The cooking time will just be longer. I also have 2.5 cups of water. I have 2 cups of vegetable broth, and you look for fat-free and low-sodium varieties. There's a 1/4 cup of raisins, a 1/4 cup of dried apricots. I'm going to chop those up in just a couple of minutes. And here's a 1/4 cup of chopped walnuts. This ingredient is optional, and you can leave it out if you want to. Here we have a teaspoon of dried sage and 2 teaspoons of fresh sage already chopped up. You can also use salt and pepper to taste, but that is also optional. Now, the first thing we have to do is heat the oil or the cooking spray in the pan over medium heat for a few minutes until the pan gets hot. And this pan actually has been on for a little while, so I'm just going to add the oil to the pan. So the next thing we're going to do is add the onion and the celery. So let's add the onion first. There, you can hear that sizzling already. And next we're going to add the celery. There, we want to get those going until they're tender. And you want to try and chop your onion and your celery up sort of into smaller, more even pieces that are about the same size, because that means that they're going to cook at about the same rate. And then we're going to let that just sort of cook for a little while. That smells good. All right. So while that's cooking, I'm going to chop up the dried apricots. So we have them here. You don't need to have a ton of them, but we do want to chop them into, again, sort of equal pieces. So when you're using your knife, make sure you keep your fingers out of the way, curl them out of the way. And I like to sort of chop them in half and then chop them again they're in sort of small little pieces there. There's some there. Let's do that again with these two. You want to make sure, again, that the sizes are about the same. Let's see, let's get a few more of those here. I'm going to cut them in half first, and then chop them again. And these apricots actually lend some nice color to the dish, but they also add a little bit of sweetness, which is really nice. And they're a little bit chewy as well, so they add a little bit of texture as well. So there we have those. Now, apricots are a great source of vitamin A, C, E, and potassium. And you want to make sure that when you're using any dried fruits, that you'll notice that serving size is only a 1/4 cup instead of a 1/2 cup. And the reason for that is because the fruit is dried and the water in the fruit has been removed, obviously. And because of that, the serving size is smaller. So if you were going to eat a regular apricot, the serving size would be about a 1/2 cup. But with dried apricots, their serving size is about a 1/4 cup. So let's put those in there. We're going to do that, add those in there. We're going to stir that up. And then the next thing that we're going to add is the brown rice. So once we add the brown rice, that can sort of brown up a little bit as well. So let me do that. I'm going to put the brown rice in the pan. And what that does is it sort of toasts the brown rice a little bit. Makes it sort of, it helps to give it a little bit more color and browns it up just a little bit. So we are going to let that sit for just a few minutes as well. And usually what you're going to do with this is once it's in the pan, you're going to let that probably cook for about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, until that rice is nice and brown. Now, I mentioned earlier that I was using quick cooking rice, and sometimes you'll hear it referred to as converted rice. Converted rice has been pre-cooked and dried again before it's sold. This helps to cut down on the cooking time. Quick cooking rice only takes about 10 minutes to cook, whereas regular brown rice will take about 50 minutes to cook. The regular non-converted rice is cheaper, and you can save time and money by pre-cooking the non-converted rice on the weekend or on a weeknight when you have some extra time. Usually on a weeknight, I don't want to wait 50 minutes for my rice to cook, so I will make it on a Saturday or a Sunday when I have extra time, sort of in a big batch, and then I can use it throughout the week and use it in different meals. That will save me time when I'm busy on a weeknight and I don't have as much time to maybe cook the rice for 50 minutes. So that is the advantage of the converted rice. It's just that it costs a little more, right? Because it's been processed. The manufacturer actually cooked the rice and then dried it again. And so just remember that the word processed isn't necessarily a bad word, right? So a lot of foods have been processed, and that's okay. Doesn't mean that they're not healthy. So for example, sometimes convenience foods like those little baby carrots that you find in the grocery store, those have been processed, right? They've been cut, they've been washed, but they're still carrots, you know, and there's really nothing wrong with that. So certain things that are processed, that's okay. So one of the things that you want to remember when you're cooking at home is that food preparation can be very helpful in maintaining healthy eating habits. Preparing food in advance helps us to avoid those spontaneous trips to the drive-thru or to the refrigerator. Sometimes at night, to know that I already have my meal planned, that can kind of save me from maybe going and getting something in the drive-thru that maybe isn't the best for me. So this is looking pretty good. So let's now add the water. Let's do that. Add the water first. There we go. Stir that around a little bit. And then we're going to add the vegetable broth. There we go. That'll add a little bit of flavor to the rice. And that's looking pretty good. So next we're going to add the raisins. I already added the apricots, so we're all set with that. And we're going to stir that around as well. Try to incorporate all of those things. That's looking pretty good. Starting to smell good. And then one of the things that you can add later are the sage and the walnuts. Now this is going to have to cook for about 10 minutes. You're probably going to want to bring it to a boil first, and then you're going to turn the heat down and let it simmer. I'm going to put the top on this. So if you're using the converted rice like I am, it's only going to take about 10 minutes to cook. And if you're using the non-converted rice, it's going to cook for about 50 minutes or until all the liquid is absorbed and the rice is tender. Once the rice is cooked, you can add the walnuts and the sage like I have here. And I'm actually going to throw those into the pan, the sage at least right now, so that I know that those things are all incorporated and they're going to cook together. We're going to have the fresh sage and the dried sage. And if you don't like sage and you want to use some different types of spices, you can do that. You can add some basil if you want to, or you can, if you like it spicy, you could add some cumin or something like that, add a little heat to it. So that's another advantage of cooking at home. You can make it the way that you like it. So I'm going to put the cover back on this, and let me show you some rice that I made previously. So here is some rice that I made earlier, and you can see that the apricots and the walnuts and the raisins are in here with the brown rice and the onions and the celery. And it makes a really nice colorful dish with a little bit of sweetness to it. It's a nice filling side dish with lots of fiber. I hope that this recipe gave you some more ideas on how to incorporate more whole grains into your diet. Join me next month in October when I'll be making a sweet potato and apple bake. It's just in time for apple season in New York State. I'll be back with another edition of What's Cooking with NYSOFA on Friday, October 27th at 12:30 p.m. on the New York State Office for the Aging Facebook page and the New York State Office for the Aging YouTube channel, where you can find out more ways to save time, save money, and eat healthy. This presentation was funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. See you next time, and stay safe out there.
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material is funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.
Hi, I'm registered dietitian Wendy Beckman, host of What's Cooking with NYSOFA. Over the past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to share healthy, nutritious recipes with you on the show. I work for the New York State Office for the Aging, and thanks to a partnership with SNAP Ed New York, our nutrition team reaches hundreds of thousands of older New Yorkers each year. So why a cooking program? 60% of health costs and related issues have nothing to do with health, but instead have to do with individual behaviors like our food choices and physical activity. The recipes we feature are nutritionally appropriate for older adults, meeting critical nutrition requirements for healthy aging. What I bet you don't know is that this show is only part of a larger effort. To help me explain what our nutrition team at the New York State Office for the Aging does and what a registered dietitian is, here is registered dietitian Lisbeth Irish.
A registered dietitian is a professional who has training and education in food and nutrition. To become an RD, you must complete certain requirements, including a minimum of a bachelor's degree from an institution that's accredited by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. You must also pass a national examination and meet continuing education requirements. What does that mean? As RDs, we are qualified to offer accurate advice about nutrition, and we can help answer your questions about how diet can affect your health. At NYSOFA, the registered dietitians handle many tasks. This includes hosting 2 online programs aimed at helping older New Yorkers make better nutrition choices. These programs are What's Cooking with NYSOFA, which is our monthly cooking demonstration, and a Facebook Live program that I host called Ask the Experts, Nutrition Edition. In the months ahead, be on your lookout for it. We'll be sharing your questions and our experts' answers about nutrition and health. New episodes of Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition debut the second Friday of each month on Facebook and YouTube.
As Lizbeth explained, registered dietitians at NYSOFA handle many tasks, including food safety at congregate meal sites, educational materials, and outreach. In the meantime, please don't miss an episode of either show produced by our team, What's Cooking with NYSOFA and Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition. Every episode is uploaded to YouTube, and you'll find the archived shows there.
Do you have a question about foods? Or do you have a particular health issue that you'd like to improve by changing your diet? Tune in to Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition every second Friday at 1 p.m. We'd love to hear from you.
Remember, registered dietitians are the experts in nutrition. Visit for more sound advice about eating healthy on a budget.